Hey guys, it's Adam. So today I'm going to be painting this model by Loot Studios. This is the 75mm version of their Solar Free is the name of the model. But this is one of their bigger models in a recent release. So basically with Loot Studios is they'll release a model, a bunch of models, and then next month they release a whole different series of models. Sometimes they run month to month. But anyway, we're not here to review Loot Studios, although their models are remarkable. I love painting these guys. So I'll be building him a pedestal. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint this guy. I have no idea how it's going to come out. We just grabbed some random greens and blues and a white, actually off-white. Mix them up. I'm going to run everything through the airbrush, and we're basically going to spray this guy to try to look like kind of that green weathered statue. So got my airbrush set up here. Obviously you can see last thing I painted was black. This is the airbrush I'm using. It's the Master Airbrush model G233. So far these have worked really well. I haven't had any issues out of them. Again, we're just using hobby grade acrylic paints, some of the Vallejo, there's some Army Painter, just whatever. I just went for colors. I don't care what brand they are technically. Obviously airbrush, protect your lungs. Whether it's just a disposable mask or anything, just try to keep from, sucking up all those little bits and pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to record the whole process because, one, I don't have any idea what I'm doing. This will be my first time of trying to do kind of that weathered greenish statue look. I'm just going to start spraying stuff on here and make it up as I go. So I'm going to throw the time lapse on and we'll come back once it's done. Alright guys, I think I've got it to a point where I'm happy with it. Seeing as I had no idea what I was going to do with this and how to go about doing this, this was 110%, Adam just winging it and seeing what happens. I got a little bit green overall, but I wanted that kind of greenish blue tint to the whole thing. It's going to be hard to get up close on him, but there is a white gradient from like the top down. So it's like a white layer, then a pale green, and then a green, and then a darker green, and then almost a blue. And from the underneath, some of the black and gray and darker colors still show. So it definitely, I made sure to spray everything from the top down. That way we tried to get it to where natural rain and weathering and everything would, go from top to bottom, and the covered bits would be a different color, obviously. So I tried to do that on the wings. So the top of the wings up here are much, much lighter, and the top of the head. And then as you go down, so like the chest has gray, and the underneath the chin has some gray and everything. So the way I did it is I started out with a mixture of the blue-green, and see, this is the off-white. So I mixed that. You're going to have to mix it. I don't have any specific ratios. Watered it down so it was sprayable through the airbrush, and I gave that a really, really heavy top-down coat to cover more or less the whole thing. Let that dry for a few moments, and then I came back with some of this Vallejo Emerald Green. This is a very, very strong green, so you don't need much of this. And I mixed it with what was left over from this. So it was a touch of the light bluish green, and then some emerald green to top that. So that's where we got the second layer. And then the last layer, next to the last layer, is I mixed up just a thin down white to that second color to lighten it up. So it was predominantly white with that greenish green blue color, and then let that dry up a little bit. And then I came back for a final coat because it just didn't have enough pop, and it's really hard to get this on camera of the shading, obviously because it's a crappy camera. But I mixed in just a tiny bit of Goblin Green and then some more of the off-white. Mainly off-white, a few drops of the Goblin Green, just enough to tint the white a greener color. And it's just enough green difference so it gives it that really cool kind of streaked copper patina. So again, this was really watered down. I would probably say, 85-15 ratio, so it was predominantly water. So I was able to spray a whole bunch on, and what that did was allow it to pool inside of the low recesses, so inside of the hair and on top of the belt versus underneath the belt, and it all kind of ran down and settled, so it kind of self-leveled itself. So once it leveled and I just let it sit there and dry, this is what it came up with. So that last coat, although white can kind of end up being a chalky look, it fits this perfect. It's a little bit chalky-ish, but overall it's a perfect paint finish. It's a nice matte paint finish, and the little bit of chalkiness of the white and the little bit of white highlights streak throughout. And I'll try to get some better up-close pictures. I'll get my light box out and take some pictures to really show the highlights in the hair and around the gauntlet and everything. So really quick and easy. We may do more of these in the future. Again, it's not a tutorial. This is just what I did. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Alright guys, we got our little base roughly cut out of the XPF foam. So it's stuff you can go down to your hardware store and buy, extruded polystyrene. You can get it in various sizes. This is the 2-inch stuff that I buy because I have the hot wire cutter. As you saw, makes it really quick and easy to cut these things out, and it actually gives it a kind of a nice rigid type exterior to it because it's partially melted versus the kind of soft extruded side. And don't worry about the holes. That's going to get glued. These two are going to get glued together, and then the statue will stand on top. So next thing to do is to take some texturing tool. This is a wad of aluminum foil. Roll it around, make some stony-like impressions. Probably get the hobby knife out, maybe taper some corners. Little hobby file, nail file. If you use a nail file, don't take your wife or your girlfriend's or whatever. Get your own. They get mad. Don't ask me how I know. So we're going to get this guy textured up, get the base glued to the top so it's one big pedestal, and then we'll get a rough coat of black paint and Mod Podge. So if you guys have ever watched Black Magic Crafts, that's how he pre-finishes his stuff. It makes the foam nice and hard. That way it's not squishy and you won't dent it by picking it up or anything. It adds some durability to this. If you haven't watched any Black Magic Crafts videos and you guys are interested in building stuff to go along with miniatures, definitely go check him out. I'll put a link down in the description below. If you're curious about the hot wire cutter that I was using, that is one that I made myself. I will put a link in the description down below here, and that is to Luke Towen's YouTube channel. He does all kinds of model railroad stuff. He has tutorials on how to build the hot wire cutter, as well as a static grass applicator that I made that I also use on a regular for doing stuff by making little static grass tufts and everything. So I'll put the link in the descriptions down for those as well if you guys are interested. Let me get working on this, get it textured up, get it rough painted, glued together, all that good stuff. I'm not going to do a painting tutorial on this. It's basically going to be a dry brushing technique, basically painted a dark gray and then dry brush over a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter until we get a cool stony pedestal thing. I'll get dude mounted to it and we'll come back for a last montage of pictures of him mounted to it. I hope you guys liked the video. This is something new. This is something different. I'm sure I can improve on these. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys later.